Hello there and welcome. It's been a while since I've done a video on my actual personal aquarium, and you'll probably notice if you're a long time subscriber to my channel, it has changed a considerable amount. Previously I've had a deep sand bed with many plants growing, and it's always been quite a luscious, well planted aquarium. Recently though, and I mean recently as in the last couple of weeks, I have done a complete teardown of the tank and it is now bare bottomed. Now this tank's not finished. I'm going to be adding a background and I'm going to be adding plants and I'm going to be tinkering around with what's in it and how it's designed. But the actual general theme of bare bottom is what I'm going for. Now there are a few reasons why I've done this. I'm not saying bare bottom or substrate is the best. It's not a competition. That's not why I'm making this video. I'm just going to explain the reasons why I've done it personally. And firstly, it's because I've been quite lazy. Now, coming from someone who has a YouTube channel based about fish care, it's probably not the best thing to admit, but I have been quite lazy with my aquarium. And this tank, although the fish were healthy, the actual tank health wasn't great. I had a lot of blackbeard algae on the wood and on the plants, and you can see there's a little bit of a remnant there which is dying off now. And you know, I was pretty upset with the standard of the tank that I had. So the other weekend I completely stripped it down. I took all the fish out, I completely cleaned it, and I decided not to put any substrate in. And the reason was, I think it was the substrate that was causing a lot of the water quality issues, because I had quite a lot of plants in there, and because these fish are quite big and they eat a lot of food, there was a lot of waste getting trapped within all the plants, and it was causing issues with nitrates and it was causing issues with the algae. So that's come out, and I'm going to be having a bare bottom, and it looks very different to a substrate aquarium. I'm not 100% sure whether I prefer it the way it looks. I mean, a nice substrate with lots of plants in actually does look better. But in terms of the tank health and in terms of the fish health, I feel like a bare bottom is better, and it's a bit easier to maintain in terms of keeping everything clean, keeping the water quality up, because you don't have a huge amount of substrate generating loads of nitrates. You've got this bare bottom tank, and all your biological action is done within your filter, which makes cleaning a lot easier, because you know that all the dirt and everything is either going to build up in a small pile, which is doing already. That's a little bit of the sand that's left over, but all of the fish poo and all the leftover food tends to end up in one spot, which means I can hoover it out easier, and anything else gets put into the filter, which I can clean in one go. Now, fish health wise, it's a bit of a debate whether fish prefer it with or without a substrate, or whether they even notice the difference. Many fish importers and quite a few fish shops won't have substrate in their tanks. Some will, but a lot of them, if you go into a fish shop, they'll just have tanks a bit like this. In fact, they'll have a bare substrate filled with some pottery or whatever ornaments, just to give the fish somewhere to hide and feel secure, a bit of wood for any of the suckermouth catfish to gnaw on, but that's it really. So I've decided to do it at home because I know it works in terms of fish health. I haven't noticed any difference in terms of the fish. They're not acting any differently, their colours are the same, and as far as I'm concerned, that's good enough to tell me that the fish don't really mind. So whether you go substrate or substrate less, the fish, as far as I'm aware, from my experience in the industry and from my experience on my own tank right now, don't care. It's more of a personal preference. So that's essentially why I've done it. I've done it for easier cleaning and easier maintenance, essentially. I will be adding some plants into here, but nothing too hardcore. Just some Java Fern and Anubias, something with a rhizome basically, and that way I can even leave them in their pots and I can just dump them around all of these ornaments, wood and whatever, and that will just give it a bit of green. Yeah, I just thought that was quite an interesting discussion and a topic that if you search for, there's quite a lot of mixed views on who thinks which way is the best, who thinks which way is better for the fish and for the aesthetics of your aquarium. And I think it's one of these things that is more down to personal opinion than anything, because I don't think the fish themselves really care whether it's bare-bottomed or not. If you are worried about the fish being annoyed or upset about this reflective bottom, one thing you can do, which is quite common, is to actually paint the bottom of your tank, so that way you can have a bare-bottom tank but it doesn't act like a mirror. So it'd be interesting to hear your opinion on this subject. If you prefer a bare-bottom tank or if you prefer a tank with substrate, just leave a comment below. Hope this video has been vaguely thought-provoking. Thank you for watching and happy fish keeping!